Welcome to No Substitutes, the podcast where I have some of my favorite people on. We talk about what ingredients make them who they are. And today I have a very special guest. He's my favorite director. We met when I was still a mattress actress. And he's a legend. He's in the, you're in the Avian Hall of Fame, right?
I don't know where it is, but I'm in it, yeah.
Yeah, he's in it.
One day I'd like to visit it with my family, but no one's told me where it is.
I don't know if it's like a real thing.
Yeah, no.
I think it's just they're like, you're in it. You're like, okay.
It's a theoretical Hall of Fame, yeah. Not a physical one. Oh, well.
Well, please welcome Mike Quasar.
Hey, how's it going? Mattress actress.
Mattress actress, I don't know. It's YouTube.
No, it's
gotta
good.
keep it
No, you
somewhat
gotta keep
clean.
it understand.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a sofa.
So, yeah, that's, I mean,
Occasionally it's a center island of a kitchen. Sometimes a washer dryer. Sometimes people get stuck in those. Sometimes it's a lot of other things.
just crazy. I'm like, how does one get stuck? Stepmom.
Happens a lot in the San Fernando Valley.
I know. San Fernando, they have a laundry crisis.
A lot of unattended children, too. A lot of babysitters being very irresponsible in the San Fernando Valley. As we've discovered.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, how have you been?
Exactly the same.
Yeah, I'm like, now that I don't work anymore, I never see you.
Well, because you don't work anymore.
I know.
However,
And
you still
work.
I do. I work all the time because I don't have enough money to stop working. That would be my goal, though, if I could, is to not work.
You have a great credit score, though.
That is good. Yeah, that doesn't come in all that handy though when you're, still, you didn't say, like when they say you should, when you're a kid, that you wish that someone would teach you about like money and saving and stuff like that. Well, my family didn't have any money, right? So then you learn that from your family. So then I became an adult, and then I started making money. And I'm like, wow, I never had money before. So I spent most of it, right? And now I find as I'm on the cusp of my own mortality and about to pass away, it'd be nice to leave something to my my loved ones. There's nothing. I got a dog.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
Which one do you think's going to die first?
Ooh, the dog's 14, but then again, hard to say.
Hard to say. You both are just
We're both on the edge. That's all I'm
edge.
saying. Yeah. Anyway.
living it up. Aw. Well, I'm glad you came.
I'm glad I'm here.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here. Ooh, okay. So what would you say are 3 ingredients for your profession?
3 ingredients for my profession. Mostly it's been one ingredient, alcohol. That's been the but if you're talking about more metaphorically ingredients, I would say patience, tolerance, and the third one might be some sort of proclivity towards deviancy or something like that. But I've managed to do this job for over 30 years, despite being a entirely normal human being when it comes to that sort of thing. So, so I don't know what the third thing would be. I guess the third thing would be a lack of other skill. So tolerance, patience, and not knowing how to do another thing, those are the ingredients to my success right there.
There you go. That's what gets you into the Avian Hall of Fame.
Exactly. And again, if anyone knows where it is, please drop me a line. All right.
Yeah. I'm like, I would like to see it too. What's been the biggest lesson you've learned in your career?
Wow. The biggest lesson I've learned in my career? I think you should choose wisely when you're young, because that comes back to haunt you a little bit when you're older sometimes.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing: I don't frown on my industry at all. It's actually been quite good to me, and I rather enjoy it from time to time. Not always. Sometimes I'd rather do anything else, but for the most part, it's okay. But wasn't my goal? Like I didn't come to California from Canada and be like, man, I used to joke with my mother, because I came out here to be a musician and be a rock star.
Of course.
And then somehow I became very successful in this other line of work. And so I used to tell my mom, I'm like, let's just pretend that when I was 20 and moved to California, that my goal was to be a very, very successful director of purient entertainment. Let's just say that. And if that's the case, then I've succeeded beyond my wildest dreams.
There you
now,
go.
if we focus on the music career, then I'm a horrible failure, and there's no question that that's led to me being an alcoholic. But let's forget about that part, Mom, and let's just focus on the positive.
Let's just say you want to be a director.
Yeah, I did.
Smut director.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to be. I'm kidding, of course. Anyway.
What is this?
I don't know. You're the one with the questions.
I know.
In front of you.
I didn't come up with these questions.
I feel like we're sitting at dinner and you're going over the wine list right now.
am.
And there's like,
That's why I'm like, hold on. He's not.
I mean, I'm not currently dating anyone, but if I did date, they probably it'd be probably female.
Well, this question is: do you think being is helpful when you're shooting mostly boy girl or girl girl scenes?
Well, if I was, I would say, here's the thing.
Who did this
I'm going to immediately defend myself.
No.
I'm gonna throw Morgan under the bus.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's such a good question.
It is a good question.
If he was.
Let's just pretend that I'm. And I do. We're going to talk about it at some point. Maybe I do play in a very, very themed punk band. So that might be why people
that
might
be
think
why
that.
she
but
thought
I myself
that.
am entirely.
Yeah, he's
But
actually
what's
the
the-
only.
let-
Aren't
but
you
let-
the only straight player?
No. We're only our singer is
the singers.
but he's so he makes up for all of our
everyone thinks.
all of our.
It's
he's-
probably because you're always hanging out with Sean Alf.
Let's be honest, he's a wild card, that Sean Alf. But no, our singer makes up for in what we lack. But ask the question as if I am in fact a go ahead.
How about no?
No, I think it'd be good.
How about do you think being straight is harder when you're shooting either boy girl or girl girl scenes?
After this long, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's all the same thing because I've shot stuff, I've shot straight stuff, I've shot
We shot
girl stuff,
GBs.
I've shot everything. I've shot
BBs,
literally
yeah.
everything. I've shot.
I've
I've
literally
shot
shot
every
everything.
single thing. Some of it is horrifying. Some of it was quite romantic. But if you go back over the last 30 some odd years, I've seen everything. And and I think that's maybe that's the third ingredient when we were talking about the
Desensitization?
dead inside.
Dead
That's
inside.
an important third
No
quality
soul.
to have. Yeah. Well, I had one, and then it was robbed from me by watching people, rolling around on mattresses for the last couple of decades. So, but now it means nothing. Now I can be looking at the most beautiful woman ever. Case in point, you're one of the most beautiful women ever. And did it ever occur to you that I was behind the camera going, no, it never, that never happened, right?
No, he keeps it very, very professional.
Because I'm just trying to make sure,
set.
because my eyes are old. I got LASIK. I'm trying to make sure the camera's in focus.
Yeah,
I can't be
he's
going,
never-
man, those are the best I've ever seen. I hope they're in focus. That didn't happen. So
Exactly.
right.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So no, and Quasar's not.
No, I'm not. But not there's nothing wrong with that. As
No.
Seinfeld said.
I was just
100
like,
years ago.
for a second, I was like reading over it. I'm like, am I just not reading this right?
Morgan
Are
doesn't
my
work
eyes
here
messed
anymore.
up?
It's totally fine.
Ooh, I'm curious about this.
Okay.
How has the industry changed since you first started?
How has the industry changed since I first started?
When did you start?
I started the first time I stepped onto a film set of that nature. So we're carefully dodging any explicit reference to what we're
Right.
talking about here.
Yeah.
The first time I ever stepped on it, I was 20 years old. It was a very surreal moment. Mm-hmm. It was literally like out of like the movie Boogie Nights or something, because I found myself. We met. Long story short, but we met these people, and this woman Trinity Loren, who was an actress in the business, and her husband. They're like, "Do you guys want to be extras in a movie? We're shooting a movie." And we're like, "You mean one of those movies? Yeah, we're gonna see some." That sounds like a thing that a 20-year-old guy would like to see,
Yeah.
And then we went to this ridiculous. Now we were living in a van at the time, right? So now we're at this big mansion up in the Hollywood Hills. I remember it had a helipad, and I'm like, who would need a helipad? But then, if you if you're that rich, I guess you buy a helicopter, because why not? And so there we were, and there's people in this room doing God knows what, and we're supposed to be part of a party scene, right? So we walk into this big mansion, and they hand us they're like, here, have some beer, and there's food over there. That's something that's changed. Catering on set. And
also no alcohol.
And also no alcohol. But, up until my recent foray into sobriety, I sometimes had alcohol on set because I have a problem. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Yeah. So that was an experience that was like a big production, and it was and there was like 1,000 people on set, and then I that was sort of a one-off, and then a couple of years later, I guess I started working kind of more or less full-time as a production assistant. I was the guy that said, do you need a towel? Yeah.
You were Sean Alf?
Yeah. I was Sean Alf. I was Sean Alf before there was a Sean Alf. I was Sean Alf minus the cuck. I never did that, you know?
Yeah.
But
he's kind of into that.
No, he loves it. It's his thing.
Huckleberry Finn.
Huckleberry Finn. There's nobody better than him.
Nobody better.
Literally, and that should be anybody's goal, is to be the best at something. He is the best at that, you know. So anyway, we've lost track because we started talking about Huckleberry Finn. How's the industry changed?
Yes.
It's changed a lot. The premise is the same. People watch the movies for the same purpose, right? Which is why sometimes when people get all sort of like, I think I posted something on X about it the other day, when I read like press releases that these companies put out or people put out, and it's like they're talking about it like they've just done something that's never been done before. And I'm one of those old people now. It's like, yeah, that was done in 1997, July 17th. I think I shot something. Yeah, so everything's been done. Nobody's breaking any new ground. It's all the same thing. It's just how we package it now and how it's sold to the public. And it's so pervasive now because it's not about it's not like a direct sale, like a DVD to a distributor that goes to a store that goes to a person, right? Most people aren't paying for it at all. So now it's like this mad scramble for everybody to try and figure out how to monetize stuff. And consequently, that is now you just need the biggest group of eyeballs that you can find, which is why people put all their stuff online for free. If it's not stolen, if it's put online for free deliberately, it's so that you hope that enough people will see it, that a small, tiny percentage of them, for whatever reason, will join your site and pay money. Yeah. And that's kind of what's changed. But and it's a big playing field now. When I started, I think there were maybe 10 companies. You know, like everybody knew each other. It was very small. It was very, very insular. And now I don't know who anybody is. And apparently they don't know who I am either. So, this may be your lowest viewership of your podcast thus far, but we'll find out, I guess.
I don't know. I had some people that are excited.
Oh, all right. Well, fair enough. These people need to get
Because if people are actual fans of, adult entertainment, then they should know who you are.
They should, but but if they don't, I'm not going to be offended. It's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, like, and when I go, everybody has like their favorite director. If they're like a cinephile, they go to like I love this director or whatever. But I feel, like I love Tarantino. Oh, I'll see any Tarantino. Like, I don't think people are sitting around going, damn it, when's the next Quasar movie going to drop? It's been 3 days. I don't know what's going on. There's a dearth of stepdaughter movies in my queue. I don't know. That doesn't happen. So I don't expect everybody to know who I am. People in the industry maybe, because they see me a lot, but other than that, it's difficult to try and be a celebrity when your claim to fame is saying, "Okay, cut, baby wipes." Yeah, it's not something Tarantino never had to do. I'm guessing.
Oh, so, I'm sure he did.
Well, I hope.
Maybe. I know Paul Thomas Anderson did.
Yeah. Well, it's true.
Yeah. Well, that goes right into family time. So, what was family dinner like for you growing up?
So wow, yeah, I forgot this was like a food centered podcast, right? Because my culinary history is one of the most white trash imaginable. So there was a lot of macaroni and cheese in my house, and my mom used to make this thing where she would just take ground beef and mashed potatoes and make like 80 pounds of it and just mix it together, and that would sit in a giant pot in the fridge because I would get home from school before she would get home from work, and she would just be like, well, if you're hungry, just eat that. And that's what I did.
No, that's what I did.
My mother also loved liver for some reason. She'd always make liver, and I'm like, I don't care for this substance, Mom. Why do you keep making this? It's good for you. I don't know if it is. It's a place that all the toxins get. I knew that even as a child.
Right.
But my mom didn't care. Not that she didn't love me. She just wanted me to eat liver because that was a thing back then.
Is that a Canadian thing?
No, I don't know. I think it was keep in mind that I was a child in the 70s, right? So it was a different planet. And people ate liver, apparently.
And people ate liver, apparently.
But I feel like people now, even in the year of our Lord 2024, people that have the same economic disadvantages as I did as a child probably still enjoy a good macaroni and cheese. You know? Yeah. So that was it. Every once in a blue moon, my grandfather, who lived we lived in this apartment complex, and he lived on the other side. Every once in a blue moon, my grandfather would take us to this restaurant that was like kind of across the street. I don't think it was fine dining at all, but it was a restaurant, So that was something that we didn't do a lot, and so that was always the exciting thing. It's like, I'm going to go to the restaurant and I'm going to order a cheeseburger, and it's going to taste different because the only other cheeseburgers I ever had were from McDonald's,
right.
And so now this was like a restaurant cheeseburger, which was like a whole other thing, and and then I became a teenager, and my palate stayed about the same. Except for I didn't eat liver anymore, and then I moved to California, and then when I was in my rock band for the first 3-4 years with some people that that
Maddie.
are with Maddie, we ate a lot of ramen noodles. That's predominantly what we ate. Also macaroni, and we used to do this thing. This was wild. We would have on Friday night. This was a special thing. We would take 2 boxes of macaroni and cheese, right, and 2 cans of chili, right? And we would mix them all in this giant pot. We didn't really have cups or plates. We always just had disposable ones. And then we would just, we'd have each of us had our spoon. So imagine 5 guys with hair down to their ass, all sitting around one pot in the middle of a room going, oh my God, this is so good. That was a experience. We ate that a lot, the ramen noodles and that. And then, when I met my now ex-wife, she started introducing me to actual good food because she was a little older than me, and she came from a non-white trash upbringing. So that was the first time I had sushi, and I remember she took me to a restaurant. I was 23. I'll never forget this. We went to a restaurant. It was in Burbank. It's not there anymore, but it was called Val's. It was a really expensive restaurant, and I had to wear a suit. I didn't have a suit, so I borrowed the suit that Maddie wore to his wedding.
Oh, nice.
to go to this restaurant, and it was purple, and we wore the suit. And I remember we got to the restaurant.
Purple?
Yeah, and it's the first time I'd ever seen a valet either. We pulled the car up, and it was like, "What are they? Why are they taking your car?" And it was like, no, they're going to park it. I'm like, huh? So then we went inside, and I was overwhelmed. And again, I'm wearing this purple suit, and I got really, really long hair. Mm-hmm. And I remember we ordered whatever the first course. She was explaining to me how it worked, right? Mm-hmm. And there was a place setting, and there was forks over here,
right.
and then other stuff over here.
And then there's a fork for a salad.
And I'm like, this is, because I'm used to the pot, with the chili and the thing.
Spoon.
So so this was weird. And then we ate, and then I'll never forget, they brought sherbet in between. And I thought that was dessert, right? I'd never been I still don't think.
What's a palate cleanser?
I don't know what that means because I don't know what a palate is, right? Because I don't have one. So, so I just ate the sherbet, and she's like, "No, you're not supposed to eat the whole thing." I'm like, "Well, what the fuck did they bring me so much of it then for?" It's delicious, and I haven't eaten since Thursday. So let's, now you're bringing me to a nice restaurant, telling me I can't eat. Anyway, then she explained what it was for. And that was my first fine dining experience. Don't remember what I had. I just remember that it was a learning experience
courses,
for sure.
Forks.
Yeah, that was.
There's no chili on the menu.
No, there was no chili on the menu at all. It was strange. No ramen, no nothing.
Oh.
It was yeah, and I don't think to that point in my life I'd eaten a salad. I'm just saying. It wasn't a thing that we had. And if we did have it, we had it Christmas dinner and stuff like that, maybe Thanksgiving, although Canadian Thanksgiving is different than here. It's kind of the same thing. It's just a month later or a month earlier. And
I didn't know that.
there would be salad, but I would avoid the salad.
Yeah.
Now I kind of like salad.
Yeah.
But,
and you're kind of a little sushi snob.
Oh, now I have a palate. I
have
grew
a
one. My palate is huge. Sadly, it's the only thing about me that's huge, but that's neither here nor there. I have a very great affection for sushi now, so that's my favorite thing in the world. So
I saw on one of the fan questions, I'm just going to ask him anyways, Gustavo Turner was, when I posted yesterday for people to ask you guys questions, Gustavo told me to ask you how sushi has changed since the 80s.
Well, back in my day, the fish had eyes. No, they still have eyes. No, I didn't eat sushi in the 80s because I was still in my mac and cheese. I'm
mac
like,
and cheese and chili.
My mom's going to work and I'm coming home from school, and and by the 80s I stopped going to school. So I just would stay home and we eat a lot of bologna too. So there was no sushi. I didn't even know what sushi was. I'll never forget the first time I heard somebody talk about a sushi bar. It was probably like, I don't know, I was maybe like 17 or something like that. And I thought sushi was alcohol because I just associated the word bar with
right.
with alcohol. So it was like, oh, we went to a sushi bar. I'm like, I've never had that before. What is that? It's like whiskey or what? No, it's fish. I'm like, and then I'm still thinking it's a drink.
Right.
I'm like,
You're
what
like,
the fuck
fish?
makes a drink out of fish? What the, Now I know. Trust me, I know the difference between a bar and a sushi bar. I really, I'm very good with that distinction now. But
Where's we've gone to 2 good places by your house, but what's the one that you're like obsessed with?
Well, so I'll give you the sushi tour.
Yeah.
And so I just went to another one last night that I haven't been to in a while. Well, my first, there used to be a place in North Hollywood called Sushi 101, and there was another place, it might still be there, called Tokyo Delves, which isn't exactly like great sushi, but it's like this fun environment where you spin a wheel and you dance on tables and stuff like that. Anyway, it's on Lancashire. But I think that was the first place I had actual sushi, and I didn't like it at first, but now it's my obsession. But Katsuya, there's the one in Encino. And the one in Northridge, believe it or not, are both from the original chef, right? And the one in the Village is the other ones are franchises, so I don't like those, right? Because there's one in Hollywood. But the original Katsuya in Studio City, that's also the original. So any of those three Katsuyas you can't beat them. Sugarfish, Calabasas, Calabasas, another favorite of mine. The Brothers Sushi on Ventura Boulevard,
Lucas Ross told me that's
so
really good.
I was there last night.
Nice.
And had the Wagyu lettuce wraps. Forget about it. Yeah. Not fish, but anyway, it was still good. And but my favorite is now it's between 2. There's one called Q Sushi in Westlake Village, which we've gone to, which is very close to my house, which is another reason why I like it. But
he loves going home.
Yeah, my favorite thing other than sushi is to go home after sushi. That's my favorite thing.
Or going home after set.
Or going home after.
I don't think I've ever. That's like being on a Quasar set is always great because I knew I wasn't going to be there for more than 2 hours.
Yeah, well, there's no reason for it.
You're like, this is a very easy job. Yeah, Let's go home.
Once this gentleman who's been laying on top of you for the last 90 minutes finally makes his last groan, I feel like it's time to pack up and get the hell out of there. So that's how I look at my job. But but Q Sushi in Westlake is amazing because it's not like a hole in the wall sushi place, although some of those can be amazing. But it's more of a social vibe. You've been there. It's a big thing, and they have like a full alcohol menu and everything. I don't drink anymore, but if you do, you can go there. There's another place in Westlake called Sea Butter that Jackie St. James and Bo and I go to almost every week now, which is also in Westlake Village, which is amazing. So those are, and last one, Scratch Kitchen in Encino.
Yes.
Which
did Kira Noir take you?
Kira Noir took me to.
Yeah.
That
was insane. That's like my favorite.
Yeah, and
sushi.
I don't mean this inappropriately at all. Kira Noir, one of the most beautiful women on earth, right? But if Kira Noir said, Mike, I'm offering you 2 choices today. You can have sexual congress with me, no strings attached, or we can go to Scratch Kitchen, but you can't do both. I'd be like, well, you're beautiful, but we're going to the Scratch Kitchen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was so good. I mean, it was crazy how good it was.
She took me there too.
Oh,
she loves to just change lives like that.
It really was a life-changing moment because now all the sushi I have is measured against that now.
Yeah.
Right? So
Like, well, it's not Scratch.
yeah, but it's also not $1,000.
It's also not. Yeah, it's like I think $500 a person.
Yeah. You got to go somewhere between Scratch and 7-Eleven. Somewhere in there is a happy medium of good sushi. You know,
You gotta
at an
go.
affordable
You gotta go
price.
to Japan then.
Well, yeah.
Japan's where you can get very affordable, like omakase style.
I assumed you saw the Jiro Dreams of Sushi documentary because it's
No.
like, oh my God, you got to watch it. He's the most famous sushi chef in Japan, and it shows you his whole process of how he chooses the fish, how he chooses the rice, how particular he is. Like he just says, like he's a like a sushi, just like no, it's not good enough. It's not. And his little, I think it's like an 8-table restaurant. It's in a subway station.
Wow.
And it's like months to get in there.
Yeah.
And you don't order. You just get what he gives you. There's no music. There's no ambiance. There's no talking. It's like literally just eat
like
this.
Have the experience with your mouth, and that's it.
And that's it. And it's a really great documentary.
I'll have to watch that.
And then I guess he retired, and his son sort of took over and franchised it out. And I think his son, some of the restaurants, I think that they opened here. I think there's one. I want to say it's downtown. I don't remember what it's called, but anyway, I didn't realize there was that much that goes into sushi. Because to me, it's just, well, you catch a fish and then you roll it in some rice, and there you go.
You're like, that's it.
But apparently not. Apparently, it's very much an art form, which I appreciate.
Yeah, I get some sashimi knives, like do some sushi. I remember I made sushi one time for my stepdad's birthday, and it was like very hard.
Yeah, it is really hard, right? With the bamboo
Yeah,
thing.
I just remember being like, fuck this. Why can't we just go get sushi?
Yeah, no, right? Because it's like, it's like you can try and paint your own Rembrandt, or you could just, have Rembrandt do it, right? Well, he's passed away, but you get the reference I'm making.
Exactly.
But I knew Rembrandt. No, I'm kidding. I'm not that old.
I was going to say, I'm like, shit, maybe Gustavo was right.
He meant what was sushi like in the 1880s, right? Well, back then it was a frontier town, and the fish was. No, I'm just kidding.
We actually speared our sushi.
We speared our sushi, and then when we couldn't do that, we just rolled some possum.
We kept the eyes on.
Because
Have you ever eaten anything with like eyeballs?
So here's another funny story about something with eyeballs that was fish-like.
Okay.
So
is this going to be a dirty story?
No,
or is this a food story?
No, it's not where you're thinking. No, when my stepdaughter was young, we took her fishing. There used to be a place in Malibu where it was like this man-made lake, and they just put fish in it, right? And I'd like, it's kind of unfair, because first of all, the fish are starving.
They have nowhere to go.
They got nowhere to go, and they just got dumped in there, and you would go. And so I remember we went there. She was like 6 or 7, and we caught a couple of fish, and they were like, you take them home and you make them. Now, I never made a fish in my life. I'm not the outdoorsy type, so I'm not really a fishing type person or camping or anything.
He likes being at home.
Yeah, I like being at home. There's things I like
the couch
about,
and his dog.
Yeah, I like things like shelter. Those are important to me, so that's why I don't much like the great outdoors. But I just remember, however, my wife at the time made this fish, and the head was still on it, and I'm like, no, because now it's the opposite of being it's the opposite of being like a serial killer. Like a serial killer probably enjoys that last death stare, before they do the deed, but not being a serial killer, I felt very, very bad for the fish, and I did not eat the fish. So that was the only time that I ever Anyway.
Okay. Who are some people that have helped you grow?
Emotionally,
Sure.
physically,
Emotionally.
No, here's I don't know that I've grown all that much. There's certain things force you to grow, right? Like if you have a family, you have to pay the bills so they have electricity and food. So I had to do that. So certainly my ex-wife and my stepdaughter were instrumental in
How
growth.
old was she when you came into the picture?
2.
Oh.
So, and now she's 32, just to give you a heads up on that. So,
Then she just got married, right?
she did just get married.
Yeah.
And she, I don't want to out her, but she also works on movies, but the real kind. And strangely, people are more fascinated to talk about, and her real father. We always make that joke. I'm like, what are you doing this weekend? Oh, you're going out with your real father. Never mind. I'll see if I can make a reservation with you for the following weekend. But he's very big in the actual real movie, and I won't out him either by associating with the likes of me. But still, same thing. It's like they still want to know more about what stepdad does, you know. So
Not that kind of stepdad.
yeah, because well, no, I mean not no, but you know, it's like oh, my real dad won an Emmy, but my stepdad knows a Bella Danger. Oh well, let's talk to that guy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So
right.
that's kind of
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So, but no, my mother certainly was the most instrumental person in my life in terms of instilling every value you could have, right? Which is, and she's no longer with us, so as of a couple of years ago. But yeah, I mean, my whole life I was just sort of guided by even though I was horrible as a teenager, I was horrible. Like I yelled at her, we'd fight, you know. But then I would always I'd go out and party and do whatever you do when you're a kid. But I would always call her. Like there was no cell phones back then, so I'd have to go to a payphone. I'd be like wasted walking downtown Toronto. I'd be like, "Anyway, Mom, I'm out. I'm fine. I miss you. All right, I'll be home in the morning." So you know, that was the rebellious teen. That's what I did. And then, yeah, I just never wanted to do anything that aside from the obvious, I never wanted to do anything that my mother would be ashamed of. So she's not ashamed. She wasn't ashamed at all. I mean, she obviously wanted a different career path for me, which I don't blame her, but she wasn't ashamed. So she was like, I don't care. As long as you're a good person, that's all that matters. I'm
That's what my mom said.
So, right?
Yeah.
And that's really all.
That's all you can really
As long as you're not
for.
hurting anybody else,
Yeah.
then have at it, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So she was very, and, you know, up until, you know, when she passed away, I called her pretty much every day. So, you know, so she was.
Call your moms.
Just call your moms. They won't be around forever. And if you don't like your mom, she probably will be around forever.
Oh. Now I want to call my mom.
I saw your Instagram stuff with your mom.
Yeah. She's
Seems
cute.
like a wonderful lady. You
She
should give
is.
her a call after this. See?
I will.
Say, Mike reminded me that I need to call my mom and tell her I love her.
Yeah.
And that's what you need to do. So.
Do you have a favorite snack from your childhood?
Favorite snack?
Poutine?
See, now here's a great mystery. I don't know how
Is
this
that
happened.
just French Canadian?
No,
It's
I don't.
not-
See,
okay.
I grew up. I moved. The first 20 years of my life, I was born in Canada. I grew up in Canada. I never had poutine my entire life living in Canada. Right? Ever. It's totally a French Canadian thing. They only ate it in Quebec. And,
Okay.
you know.
Ricky.
And the way Canada, I mean, it's probably the same now, but Quebec is sort of like a country in and of itself, right? And there's there's, you know, because it's very different culturally, everything else, you know. Obviously, there's a language difference. Although most people in Quebec speak French, or they also speak English, but the snobby ones will not even speak English to you, even if they know how to speak English, right?
That's very French.
You anglophone piece of garbage. Go back to your province of Ontario and eat macaroni and cheese. We don't do that here. You know, that's what they would say. But I never had poutine, ever.
Not even to this day?
No, but here's the thing that I have since,
Okay.
but here, that's the ironic thing. The first time I had poutine was in the United States of America. So, but a thing that all Canadians do is they put gravy on French fries, and poutine is just gravy and French fries and
Like
cheese
cheese
curd.
curds?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I always ate gravy with French fries growing up, but I never had this poutine thing.
Right.
I didn't
You
know.
didn't have the cheese curds.
I didn't have the cheese curds part, and I didn't, quite honestly, the word I found odd. I'm like,
Yeah,
poutine
cheese
and
curds.
cheese curds, and also cheese curds in and of themselves taste like rubber.
Yeah,
You know?
I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good
I'm
without
like-
the cheese curds.
Yeah, big fan of
First time I
regular
had
cheese.
poutine was at the Village Idiot, which is no longer there, but it
Mm.
was on Melrose.
Yeah,
It's really good, but I always avoid the cheese curds.
Yeah,
So it's like,
yeah.
the only thing that's really good about this
Yeah.
is the gravy on French fries.
My sister lives out in the middle of nowhere in outside of Toronto, and they have like in the summer they have like these almost like people that are here that are like selling like apples and oranges at the side of the road. They have people literally holding bags of cheese curd out in the country, like, and there's like a whole stand with the sign. People are like pulling over. Oh my God, honey, pull a car over. They got cheese curds. I'm like, why is this exciting to anybody? This is not even the part of the cheese you're supposed to eat, right? It's like gross, but
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever. Apparently
It
Canadians
sounds
enjoy it.
gross.
Yes.
That's so funny. I would probably take a picture just as like a touristy thing.
There's two things where my sister lives. There's a little town called Trenton outside of Toronto, Ontario, and there's the cheese curd stands that just kind of pop up, and then there's a thing down the road from her called the Apple Store, and they sell apples. That's literally what they sell. And it's been there
Right.
for like 70 years, so it's not like Apple can sue them like, hey, you can't call
No.
yourselves the Apple Store. Yes, we can, motherfucker. We've been selling
been
apples
here
since
before you.
1935, you know?
We were here before you. It
Ironically,
will
there's
be
no
here
app
after
for that
you.
Apple Store, but go figure. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's I've never gone to the Apple Store. I've driven past it. So.
Yeah.
There's also a place called the Rope Store. Very specific with their items in this part of Canada. Rope
Yeah.
Store is a good place. I guess if you're feeling suicidal, you want to go driving around looking for a rope store. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, that's Canada.
Yeah,
I've never been in Canada.
it's like here.
It's like here,
It's just a little more polite, you know.
just more polite.
We're raised to be non-confrontational and very polite. So.
Oh, interesting.
It's that's why there's a little bit of a stereotype of like, oh, Canadians are so polite, because we just don't.
You're like
wanna-
we're just pussies.
pretty much, yeah. I mean, I think we have an army, but I don't know if we ever use it for anything.
Yeah, I'm like I don't know if you do actually. What is the best meal someone has ever cooked for you?
Cooked for me, provocative. Well, normally I would say I would like to always give props to my mother, but she is not the person that cooked the best
Yeah.
meal for me by a long shot. I'm gonna go with my mother-in-law, who is kind of a foodie, grew up in San Francisco, and she worked at Berkeley, and I forget what it was, but I remember it was some sort of fish thing, and there were capers, and there was this. I just remember thinking, I've never seen a person put this much effort into making something that you're just making for your family, you know?
Right.
And then my ex-wife's birthday was just the other day, and so my stepdaughter's like, we're having a tea party thing, like a formal tea party, and I'm like, okay, that's weird.
Did you go grab Maddie's purple suit?
I did not get his purple suit for that. I was not required. Now I actually own a suit now. I don't really wear it for anything, but I mean, there's always possibility I'll need to go to court, I suppose. But I haven't
How
worn
many
it for anything.
ex-wives do you have?
I only have that. Well, I have two. I have one that I married when I was 21. She was my girlfriend at the time. She was a crazy person, and I got married to her because I was from Canada. And I'm
green
like,
card.
if we get married, I'll be able to like help you pay the rent and stuff because I can get a job, you know.
Right.
And then we did that, and I did, in fact. That was all accomplished. That was great, and then she tried to kill me, and then we sort of drifted apart after that. Just two ships passing in the night. Me with a flesh wound, and then I met my current ex-wife, who I'm still on very good terms with, but.
Well, that's
And
good.
we
At
were-
least one.
Yeah, we were together for a long time. Anyway, so that's where the stepdaughter part comes in. So it was her birthday, and she made hold on. She made a formal menu for it. I got to show you this. This is crazy. Hold on. Let's see. There's a video of my dog. Look at that. So look at that, and you can tell me what. Like, she just did that to make it at home. Isn't that crazy?
So cute.
Yeah. So we had all of.
Chocolate rose black tea. Okay, that's all tea.
Yeah.
Tomato red pepper soup, blueberry scones, crab salad sandwich. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, there's all kinds of like great stuff on it.
Chago cheese and peach jam sandwich. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
it's yummy.
So there you go. So that, and again,
Right.
I have to remind myself to appreciate things like that because I grew up eating macaroni and cheese. So like every once in a while, it's like one of those things you have to, like, you check in with your gratitude list sometimes. And I'm like, wow, someone made all this and I get to eat it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of exciting because, even now as an elderly gentleman, I still harken back to my roots of like if I'm at home, like I don't cook at home ever. I've only turned my stove on twice, and both times was to make a pizza, and that was during COVID. So,
Yeah.
but mostly I DoorDash, and I don't DoorDash from gourmet places at all. I DoorDash from like Doghouse, like I get a chili dog, and sometimes I DoorDash from Urban Plates because that's good for you,
Yeah.
I don't know if it is or not, but it sounds better than Doghouse,
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm just too lazy to go to Ralph's, and I just have them bring me stuff. But for the most part, I don't cook at home. But backtracking to your original question, because I've drifted, my mother-in-law or my stepdaughter both made me equally the greatest thing in person that I've ever had made for me. So there you go. Yes.
What's a life event that shaped you?
Life event that shaped me was moving here. I would imagine, because that was a big cultural shift from living in Canada where it's cold in the winter, and it's pretty much cold up until June, and then June, July, August are brutally warm and humid, and then it starts getting cold again. And I remember moving here and not knowing if we were going to stay, like, because we drove here. So I lived in a van, like I was mentioning before. It was all of us living in a van. And because, you need, I mean, nowadays you can move to California and just sleep anywhere. But back then you had to have a vehicle or something, Now you couldn't just lay down on the sidewalk and then, take a shit in front of a 7-Eleven. They frowned on that back then. Now I think they give you a certificate. Anyway, so that was huge. I just remember everything. It was the same day every day. I remember we arrived in L.A. or we arrived in California right around July 10th. 1989, so it's a very long time ago. And I just remember every day, I'm like, it's the same day. Like every day, it's just beautiful. Every day, it's hot. It's like you never have to look at, like you just stop looking at the weather. You're just like, it's just going to be beautiful, Because, you grow up in a place where there's weather, it's predictable. It's unpredictable. Like it might rain this week. It might rain just part of tomorrow, and then it might be okay. And then, but here it was the same every day. And I'm very... even though people don't think of Canada as a foreign country, it actually is. And so I'm an American.
You're a foreigner.
I'm a foreigner, but I'm an American citizen now, and I'm actually very a little bit patriotic that way, because I really felt like when I first came here, especially at that time in LA, that anything was possible, and I'd never felt that before, right? So now I know it was all a horrible facade, but at the time it seemed like anything was possible. And I guess it was. It's just a question at that point of the choices that you make and the paths you go down and everything else. But certainly coming here was the biggest event of my life. So there you go.
1989.
Yeah, 1989. Maybe let's not keep bringing that part up.
Okay.
But yeah.
What are some unpopular food opinions you have?
Unpopular food opinions?
Yeah. Like, do you like pineapple on pizza?
I love pineapple on pizza. I fucking love it.
Oh, gosh.
I don't understand why people are so like, oh my God, it's not like, it's delicious. What are you talking about?
I like pineapple on some savory dishes.
Right? There's nothing wrong with that. No, I love pineapple on pizza. Yeah. I don't know. Here's the thing. I'm not a fan. I love peanut butter. I love jelly. I don't like them together.
Yeah.
I don't like peanut butter and jelly. PBJs don't do anything for me. No, not a fan. Other than that, I'll pretty much eat anything.
Right.
Because again, I was raised as a latchkey child. I was raised as a scavenger. So whatever was sprinkled on the kitchen floor, I just picked up and put in my mouth. Thank God my mother wasn't a methamphetamine addict. I'm kidding, of course. She was a straight-laced woman, didn't even drink. But if there was anything sprinkled on the floor, I would pick it up.
Nice.
Anyway, but not
God
meth.
forbid.
No, God forbid. No.
God forbid PB&Js being on the floor.
No PB&Js.
Just 5-year-old Quasars. Like, no thanks.
But like here's a thing that I do, which is disgusting, and I do it without shame. Maybe I have a little bit of shame. If I'm driving a set and I'm like in a hurry, because you know how I don't like to have people be late to set because I want to go home, and if they're late, that prevents me from going home. So I can't show up to set late because then I look like a hypocrite. So I will frequently just go to 7-Eleven I did it on the way here, and I'll get one of these, and I will also get some sort of horrible sandwich from their thing. Sometimes tuna, Sometimes they have like the Italian one where it's like I don't know, and I'll eat that. And you probably shouldn't do that like more than once ever in your whole life, but I do it like probably 3 times a week. So, and that's gross.
I had a 7-Eleven hot dog one time for breakfast.
7-Eleven hot dogs. I'm not sure if there's actual meat in them, but those were when I was a younger man struggling in a rock and roll band. You could get 2 7-Eleven hot dogs for 99 cents, and that was extraordinary. Mm-hmm. And you could also buy individual cigarettes because I smoked back then. Cigarettes were you could go to the liquor store and buy 1 cigarette for 10 cents.
Wow.
I did that. Nice. Anyway. Now I'm just sad. This is where we do the editing.
Yeah. What are your hobbies outside of work?
Oh, what are my hobbies outside of work? I'm an expert at going home. That's like a skill that I've mastered. I still play in a band who the name of the band is apparently obscene, so we can't mention it here, but it rhymes with rocks.
Nice.
And the band is fronted by a flamboyantly gay man. His name is Za, spelled Z-S-A.
Nice.
Real name's Jay. He'd probably be mad if I out him, but who cares? He outed himself years ago, obviously. There's no closet big enough to hold that man, I'll tell you. Anyway, so that's my hobby now. I still play drums. I still love it more than anything in the entire world, and I play with this really silly punk band called that rhymes with rocks. And,
that rhymes
and
with
most of the songs
are about rocks.
Very, very, very gay subject matter, right? So, and at first I thought, you're kidding, right? Because they played me their like demos when I first met them, or when I first met Jay. And he's like, and then I started listening to it, and I kind of got the humor around it, and I'm like, oh, this is actually a lot of fun. So, consequently, if you can enjoy the music even if you're not gay, all right? So, but if you are gay, you'll relate to it a little more, I think. But
Right.
But like I myself have never participated in any sort of bathhouse or glory hole event. But if you have, you'll find some of the references to that type of behavior in the musical compositions of the band that rhymes with rocks. Alrighty then. That's my hobby.
That's his hobby.
Yeah. Sometimes I go for a walk. So those two things, I play bands in the drums in the gay band, and I'll walk.
Yeah. Mosey.
Mosey.
Yeah.
Mosey.
Love that.
A brisk pace, keep the heart rate up,
Right.
Because I'm too lazy to like run, but whatever. That running's not a hobby, clearly. So.
But then like the ones that do use it as a hobby, it's always a very culty kind of thing, like running.
Yeah,
groups.
I see groups of especially here, guys in groups on bicycles.
Yeah.
Hate those people, man. Hate those people. I mean, first of all, you don't all have to dress exactly the same. Have some individuality, for Christ's sake, Like you're like one guy wore a pair of skin tight shorts where your balls are like prominent, and everybody else went, yeah, I want that's the look, and then
That's
y'all went
the
and did that. Come on, that's crazy.
I know. I feel like it makes you sterile.
It probably does.
Yeah.
And look what happened to that poor Lance Armstrong. The man lost a testicle.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I'm like, so that's kind of what I associate those shorts with.
Right.
I'm like, you probably can't have children now.
Yeah. Now, not that I want to have any, but I could. Damn it, because I walk.
Because I walk. And I wear tight shorts.
And my testicles are in fine shape, just so you know, because of my lack of wearing those shorts and banging them up against a hard bike seat. Anyway.
Yeah.
But I don't judge.
What's the most adventurous or unusual food you've ever tried? And would you try it again?
No, actually, the most adventurous food, when I was in Florida, I had like alligator. And
I figure that's like...
I don't know if that's adventurous or not. I feel
like that is. I wouldn't eat it.
It just tastes like, I mean, it's like a cliche. Everything tastes like chicken, right?
Yeah.
But it kind of tastes like just rubbery chicken. And then That or it reminded me kind of like octopus, like the same kind of texture, you know.
Oh, I don't like
and
that.
I don't like octopus, so
Yeah.
you know.
So
but,
no.
But it was like Florida's like, you gotta have some gator bites if you're going to be in Florida. I'm like, do I? All right. And then I did, and I was like, oh, I won't be coming back to this state again. Thanks for the heads up.
Were you working or were you there on
No,
like,
my
vacation?
best friend lives out in Tampa, so I went to go visit him. And
Have you ever had to shoot in Florida?
No. Everything I hear about it is terrible. I don't want to do that.
Yeah. It does not look fun.
Yeah. No, every time I hear about people shooting in Miami, I'm just like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't go to any of the events, huh?
I went to one last week.
Which one?
I went to the whatever that party was that the
Oh, Austin's?
Yeah, I went to that thing. I went there for 50 minutes. I went with Jackie, and we both agreed that
You both, yeah.
I know Jackie never goes out.
Yeah.
So Jackie and Bo, we went there, and Jackie St. James is a prominent director in our industry. Bo is her husband, also a very skilled industry professional. We went, we socialized for 50 minutes, and then we left.
I would have gone if I knew you guys were going to be there.
Well, I would have stayed if you had been there. See, but we probably both would have. But yeah, as a general rule, I mean, events are okay, I guess. But I'm just seeing the same.
When was the last time you went to AVN?
I haven't gone to AVN years, but maybe I went 3 years ago because I only went. The only time we were playing, the band was playing with Victoria Vox's band in Vegas during AVN.
Oh, that's cool.
I went for that, and then the next day I kind of went to the show for like probably 50 minutes, and I'm like, well, these are all the same people I see all the time, and except now we're here, and I don't like here, so I'm just going to go home.
I don't like here.
Yeah, so I don't like Vegas so much.
I've never gone to AVN.
Really? You should go once. Just the awards, you should go once because it truly is something that everybody should see at least once.
Right.
Two things, because you always marvel at how well it's actually it's produced really well. Like, it's not like this rinky-dink operation.
No.
But also when you see,
I also hear it's like 3 hours.
it's long.
Yeah.
They've cut it down.
Sit.
Well, so here's what they do. So everybody, they like to do this, right? They like to nominate everybody for everything. Right. Mm-hmm. And then in the program they give you, they're like, there's my name. I feel validated. And then when they make the announcement, they don't name most of the people on that list. Right.
Right.
So they'll say,
I remember, I think last year people got upset.
Yeah.
Like,
because
if you didn't win.
Well, I'll never forget. So here's a funny story. I went in 2013 because they did that Hall of Fame thing. And they're like, oh, you should go be there for the Hall of Fame thing. And I'm like thinking, there's going to be like I don't know, maybe it's a big deal. I don't know.
Right.
So I go and we sit there and we're sitting.
You didn't know you were going to be in?
No, I knew I was going to be in the Hall of Fame,
okay.
But I didn't know that they don't care, right? So here's the thing. So you think a Hall of Fame's a big deal. Like you watch like the Grammys or the Oscars or something, they acknowledge somebody or like they make a big deal about that person, right? No big deal at all. As a matter of fact, they did the Hall of Fame announcement just like a scroll, just like before the show even started. Like nobody was even sitting down. They were all still at the bar. And all of a sudden they're like, and this year's AVN Hall of Fame inductees are... What? And then right after that, they're like, and in memoriam. And that was a little bit slower because some people died. Oh. And then I'm like, and then they're like, and welcome to the 2013 AVN Awards. And all of a sudden people start rushing to their seats. And I'm like, that was underwhelming. I didn't expect that it would. I didn't think they were gonna put a crown on me or anything. But I didn't expect. I thought maybe it would be like faster than that, or slower than that. But that was a learning experience. So if you ever get inducted into the AVN Hall of Fame,
myself.
If you ever do,
okay.
Well, no, because you might. Because here's what happens: every year they release a list of the people they're inducting, and I think your only qualifications, you just need to have been in the business for 10 years, right?
I was in it for 2.
Yeah. Well, no, but here's the thing. lots of people that were not in the business for 10 years, but they're like from like an era, like a bite. Like you'll see like, Linda Pussycat, and you're like looking that up. You're like, oh, she was in like 6 movies in 1986.
Oh,
it's
so
like,
you mean like in 20 years?
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, they might be just like, Lumi Ray. Oh yes, she was in My Stepdaughter Has a Bad Attitude, Volume 27. Okay, yeah, we're gonna put her. You never know, it could happen. And again, it's an honor just to be nominated.
Yeah.
And if you do get inducted, good luck finding it. 'Cause I don't know
You're
where it
I
is.
Don't know where it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought maybe it's an actual.
No,
somewhere in Vegas,
Like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is in Cleveland. It's a building. You can walk into it and you can look at stuff, right?
Yeah.
But then when you really think about it, what's going to be in an AVN Hall of Fame? Like what
Well,
is it
that's
going to be?
why I'm like, that'd
You're
be
like,
cool.
oh, there's the camera
It's
he
like,
used to shoot.
Well, it's like these
know?
photos that Holly has. Like if there are some tasteful nudes in the building, I think people would pay to see that.
Yeah, but
Or
not
like-
everybody's Holly Randall, and most of what's been created over the last umpteen years.
I
is
would
just,
want to see like pictures of what's her name? She was like one of the first porn stars.
like Linda Lovelace from the 70s.
Yeah, like seeing like pictures of her. That would be cool.
Yes.
But it's also like
I don't know.
you're just really over it.
Well, I mean, look, it's like I've just seen.
You're like naked people.
I've seen
know.
horrible things. I mean, keep in mind,
Yeah.
I've been the camera guy in a lot of like moments in industry history that should probably be forgotten, like the Houston 500.
Right, you're like, we don't need a Hall of Fame for
I
these.
saw 180 men and 1 lady, and that was not a thing you want to, after. And here's the thing: after we finished shooting that, we went to Claim Jumper, bringing it back around to the food theme, So you'd think that you wouldn't have much of an appetite after a day like that, but I was starving. I was starving. I got the boneless wings. Anyway, delish, by the way, Claim Jumper. But yeah, that was after shooting a horrible experience with
180 men.
Yeah.
What do you even do with that many rocks?
Well, most of them are just standing there stroking their rocks in a line and waiting for their turn. And for many of these gentlemen, I'm guessing it may have been their first sexual experience. So a lot of it was very brief. And safely done, believe it or not. Everybody was tested. And this is, before, this is before sort of the internet was part of our, you couldn't just show somebody your test on your phone,
Oh yeah. Did people like bring their
papers? You all had to test at one facility called AIM, which was the only facility that the industry had back then.
Wow.
And you had to get your test had to be within 24 hours of that, and you had to wear a wristband. So you could only get the wristband from AIM. So everybody,
you couldn't fake a test,
right? So everybody that showed up had to have their name cross-referenced with the wristband, and so that's how they did it. Which isn't to say that any of these people, it's not like they were, a lot of them weren't fine, upstanding citizens. I mean, these are people that saw an ad in a magazine somewhere and went, yeah, I haven't had sex before. I wouldn't mind doing it with 179 other guys. I mean, if that's your thing, knock yourself out. But I was there, and funnily, that's a word. Maybe it's not. Sean Rivera also there.
Oh my God.
Sean was and we didn't.
Isn't his whole family like part of the industry? Kind of.
Sean Rivera is the
one of the best light.
Yes, he's the most proficient and exceptional lighting professionals in the industry. But yes, his whole family is in the industry. It's weird.
Weird.
Like his father. His father
his
as a performer. His brother. Well, his brother is a director in Florida.
Okay.
Both his cousins were performers.
Just the whole family.
The whole family is.
That's probably one family that, if you chose to do that profession, they're like.
Well, yeah,
they are proud.
It's not. Yeah, it's
any
like
other family's
it's
as long as you're not doing anything horrible.
Right. Most of our families are just like, okay, well, just be safe. And meanwhile, his family's like, good for you, son. I'll get
Make
you
Dad proud.
I'll get you your first Viagra prescription. Let's go to the pharmacy. I don't know how it works.
Oh my.
But, which, believe it or not, there was a time in the industry before Viagra. Yeah,
Right.
Those were some long
People were
days.
just-
I mean, to tell you.
Let me tell you.
That is that.
Believe you me.
There was a lot of rock stroking back then.
Was it that? Because they used to have like fluffers on set.
Nah, they never had that.
No.
No,
I know a girl that used to be a fluffer.
It's an urban legend. There's no such thing as a fluffer.
So it's just girls that are like that did porn, but they don't want to pretend like they didn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, for example, that horrible event I told you about, which was called the Houston 500. They called it the Houston 500 because there were supposed to be 500 guys, but there were only 180. Oh my God, the secret's out.
Oh my God.
Demand your money back. I'm kidding. But they hired fluff girls for that but it was sort of an homage to this sort of urban legend about it.
Right.
But they weren't, they always talk about like, back in the 70s, back in the 80s, there were just, I don't know, I wasn't around in the industry back then, but like, there were people on set just to like, and it always struck me as strange. It's like, you're already having sex with this person. Why would a whole other person come in to sort of create maintenance for you when, you know what I mean? Like, I understand that, you know what I mean? It's just like, we all want to go home. What's going to be fastest here,
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a lot of,
yeah, Mike, you already looking at a naked girl. How many more naked girls do you
no, what blows my mind now is some of these gentlemen in the industry who are reasonably young, that they will struggle and they will go and look at their phone. And I'm like, there's a woman right there. She's right there.
She's right there.
She's not wearing clothes. And you're over there looking at your phone. I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah.
But that's...
Or just like the amount of young men that I'm like, that take stuff or shoot stuff.
It's not going to go well in the long run.
No, I'm like, you really, I feel like if your body's not wanting to do this, maybe this isn't the job for you. Because that was always my main thing. As soon as my body is not feeling this anymore, that's like when you walk away.
And maybe it's a stretch. I mean, you can give me your opinion on this, but like I almost kind of put it in the same category with if somebody needs to be drunk or drink before a scene.
No,
it's like if you can't do the job without that, then you shouldn't be doing the job, right?
Yeah.
Now, fine, I mean, Viagra, whatever. But I think when you get down to like when you physically need to put a syringe into your genitalia to perform, and I know I'm not judging, I'm not whatever.
But it's just.
But in the long run, I think that you're going to have some issues that you're not thinking about right now.
Well, that's why I'm like, that can't be worth it. Like,
no.
By the time unless you're Kieran and you get your thing insured for
$1 million,
yeah.
Which in this economy, that's about $250,000 now. But then if you do the exchange in the British pounds, like my willy's worth like 1.5 million, mate. All right, anyway.
Great Kieran impression.
Adjusted for inflation, but
yeah, no, maybe that's what.
Yeah, but no, because like the thing is with the shot.
Yeah.
I know we're supposed to be talking about food, but with the shot, you're not supposed to do it every day, right?
No, that's why I'm like, it's these people. It's like men that I know that work like 5 days a week.
Yeah, it's not good. That's not good, man. And if you
like it's gonna fall off.
Something bad's gonna happen. Yeah, and I've seen it happen to a few people.
And I even know a few male performers who've already had like to get surgeries.
Yeah. So. Luckily for me, the worst and best thing that could happen to me actually is if I just go blind. The worst because I won't be able to make a living anymore. But the good news is I won't have to look at this anymore either. So there's that. Always look on the bright side. That's what I say.
There you go. Cups half full of sight.
Yeah, exactly.
If you could describe your personality as one flavor, what would it be? Cheese curd.
Cheese curd, clearly. My personality?
No.
I don't know. Probably.
Salty, sweet, gone.
What's the most chaotic flavor there? Like
Pop Rocks?
Like Pop Rocks, yeah. I feel like I'm probably as a mostly vanilla with the occasional sprinkling of Pop Rocks. That's my.
That's your flavor?
That's my flavor, yeah.
Nice.
That didn't sound appealing at all, actually. Can I change my flavor choice?
Yeah, you can. Well, we'll just add that out.
No, you should leave that in because it's probably more accurate than what I'm about to say now. But no, I'm a little bit of everything. I'm like Neapolitan ice cream. That's me.
That's you.
Yep.
Nice.
Vanilla's in there.
Yeah.
So there you go. I brought it back around again.
There you go. I think we have some fan/producer
yeah.
questions.
There's fans?
We have a handful of questions.
Okay.
I want to be selfish though and ask one for myself.
Sure, certainly.
So I'm kind of like in a director role with a lot of the stuff that I work on.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of your approach of just wanting to go home.
Yeah.
So-
Most people are. It's a good approach.
So do you have like maybe some advice for me that like what's a good way to like cut down on unnecessary time so I can get everyone home in time for dinner?
Well, I guess have a realistic schedule depending on what you're shooting, right? Obviously, some things are easier than others, but like tomorrow, for example, I'm shooting a feature, so there's a script.
Okay.
But I have it scheduled to like the second, like the girl walks in at 9, by 10 o'clock we're doing this, by 11 o'clock we're on this, and then just have that in your sight the whole day. And if nothing goes horribly awry, I'll be done by 5 tomorrow. And then the other thing, just as a director who's also the camera person and the photographer
And editor.
and the editor and the writer, and the producer, it's easier because it's like when I'm shooting, I know what I'm going to use, what I'm not going to use, so I'm not guessing, I'm not overshooting. I'm like, we have enough, we can move on, and I'm very confident that we do have enough and we can move on. So
Well, that's the other thing too. I'm like, you do it all by yourself, which I think saves you a lot of time versus these sets where there's PAs, lighting.
right. Well, I'm sure you've been on a set where there's like 1,000 people and nothing's
where
getting done.
Yeah,
and you're
I'm
just and
I've
somebody
been sitting.
right.
And
Somebody
kinda
says to
just
somebody else, they're
waiting.
like, "What are we waiting on?" And nobody knows.
Nope.
Right. So
No, I'm like, wait, I know my lines.
yeah.
Makeup's done.
Yeah. So my
Dude's here.
Yeah. So what are we
What's
waiting on?
happening?
And I work for a lot of directors like that as a camera person over the years, where it's just like,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
frustrating because my instinct is to be like, but it's not my show, and I want to be respectful of the person that hired me.
Yeah.
To a point,
But yeah.
But yeah, I mean the schedule is the most important thing. I mean, and just try and make a realistic schedule, because I know I've heard horror stories from other people, and I've worked on other sets over the years
Yeah,
where they
I'm-
have a
I'm,
schedule,
like, on set
but
till
the
2
schedule
a.m.
the schedule may I don't think they wrote it, but I don't think they considered that it was feasible because it's like,
Yeah.
oh, we're going to wrap at 8. Are we? It's 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Your schedule says we're going to wrap at 8.
And then that's always annoying because you already agreed as a performer, like you agreed to a rate. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
and now you're working for $5 an hour when you break it down hourly at that point.
Yeah, I'm
it's
like, I should have gotten paid more then if you were going to keep me here for like an extra 5 hours.
right. And I remember back in the day when I was a production assistant, I used to work for this company. They're obviously long gone, but they were called Las Vegas Video. And a lot of companies back then used to shoot the entire movie in one day.
Mm-hmm.
And movies were 5 scenes back then. So imagine shooting 5 scenes in one day, right?
That's the thing. I'm like, I've done well, no, it's 6 scenes now, I think,
They're
for features.
Most movies are 4.
4? Okay.
Yeah. But then the standard was 5. But I mean, and we would, even on a day like that, we were trying to cram everything in. I just remember it being like 4 o'clock in the morning. Like the fun fact about we just had an earthquake whenever it was last week, right? So the
slept through that.
1994 earthquake you wouldn't have slept through. So I was coming home from work. I had just walked in my door at 4:30 in the morning, and 5 minutes later, the whole city just collapsed. It was like the scariest moment of my life. But just to give you an indication of how late some of those sets used to go. And so when I was in a position where I was in charge of my own day, where I wasn't at somebody else's mercy, I was very, I made it a point to not ever be on set that long because it just, and also, does anybody really want to, after you've been on set all day, are you really amorous? Are you feeling like, man, now it's 3 a.m. I'm horny. No, you're like frustrated, you're angry, you're resentful, and you just want to get it over with. So now you're just making a shitty product on top of everything else, so.
Yeah. Sure.
But that would be my advice. Schedule
Yeah.
for sure.
Like
thank
we
you.
went into
So we went into a whole other thing.
we were
apologize.
venting.
Yes. We were because that could be a podcast in and of itself. what
Yeah,
we were
just venting about all the just people being incompetent with scheduling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's also a big reason why I like handling every aspect of what I do. Just because, I know, okay, well, if we're running short on time, I know what to cut out of the schedule, and so that everything still works. And I don't have to talk to anyone else.
Precisely.
I'm trying to let myself let other people do work, you know, to kind of help me. And that's been the biggest struggle for me, of like trusting other people to be like.
And that is so important. That's why, like, I won't, in most cases, I will work around the schedule of the crew. Like, I'll work around Jean Rivera because I know I don't have to think about the lighting of this. Like, I just, this is what we're doing, and I walk away, and 20 minutes later, he's like, we're done. And everything is correct, you know? As opposed to somebody else that I have to be like, no, why did you know? You know, I micromanage it. I don't have to, you know.
Yeah. Sean's the light god.
Yeah, and that's a huge, even Sean Alf, God love him. You know, like, I know he's a content creator now, but he's also the best damn production assistant that's ever been. Like, he's just on top of everything.
He's got good energy. Like, he keeps things on set feeling very like.
And also when I do need a cuck, he's happy to fill in. But surround yourself obviously with competent people that you can count on. That's important too.
He hasn't performed yet.
I refuse to ever.
I mean, I don't think. Yeah, you and Jackie are both like, I really don't want to see him.
It's an unwritten rule for me. Like, if I know you as part of the crew, I never want to see you without pants on. Just don't want to see it. You know,
I just don't want to see it.
I'm like, I'm sure he's great. Women seem to love doing content with him, whatever. And he's a handsome fella, and God bless him. He's living his best life. But I don't want to see him without pants. Fair. So I have him muted on Twitter for that reason.
Smart.
Because every once in a while, somebody that he's done content
you're
with,
like, God damn it.
And I'm like, there's Alf and his completely average schlong. Anyway, there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. Just saying. What were you talking about?
I don't know.
I got sidetracked by Alf's penis.
I know. I'm sorry. That's a distracting thing.
So you have laughed at adult films being called groundbreaking and game changing. Do you think that a video could ever actually be that, like either of those things? And what do you think it would be about?
It's a good question.
Here's the thing, right? And there was like some super talented directors in the business, like, and so I'm not taking a dig at anybody, like in terms of their ability or their skill, right? Like even a guy like Ricky Greenwood, right?
Yeah.
He makes very ambitious films. His movies are amazing. He showed me the cut of that movie Alive he just did, I think, for Dorsell. I don't remember what company. I think it was Dorsell. But I was watching it, and I was actually forgot I was watching a adult film.
Yeah.
You know, and then when people actually started touching each other, I'm like, oh, hold on a sec. Oh, right, I forgot.
Oh, right.
You know, but even in those circumstances, the reason you're getting to make a movie is because people are diddling each other in it, right?
Right.
So it's not like you know, so that's the thing. Like, it can't be groundbreaking because it is what it is, right? It can be great. It can be better than anything else out there, but you're not breaking any new ground when the purpose of what you're doing is for somebody to be sitting there, regardless of how beautiful it is, regardless of your anamorphic lenses, regardless of your, like, and all of that on point, amazing.
Right.
He's way better than I am. There's no question. But at the end of the day, whether you're watching that, and I only use him as an example, there's others, but whether you're watching his movie or my movie or your movie or whoever else, on the other side of the screen is some guy doing this. All right, that's enough of that. I'll be turning this off and going to sleep in shame. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so, you know, like there's nothing groundbreaking. I mean, you could go the other way. You could look at mainstream films that incorporate hardcore sex into it. That's a little more groundbreaking from a standard cinematic sort of perspective. Movies like,
or even like bridging the gap between mainstream and adult.
Right. But those movies always start out either being indie films or independent, or like they don't start out as being adult movies. You know, like so that's the difference, I think. You know? Like
Lionsgate isn't paying for
exactly. You know. Yeah, they're not like, no one's, Tarantino's next movie is not going to be like, well, I wanted to make some adult content, but I guess I'll throw a story in there too. You know, like that's not going to happen. The adult content is.
I will say, I saw an interview the other day of Sean Baker saying how it's very important to hire people with like those experiences in those movies, because he's had like a few. Movies that, but again, I think like Red Rocket was kind of more of an indie movie, but. Right. Yeah, he's like, I hire, either intimacy coordinators or people from adult, because if I'm going to have those kind of scenes, I think it needs to at least be, I'm going to involve people that know that life.
And when people make fun of people in the industry like being bad actors or, not knowing how to act, I'm like, watch a softcore version of a scene. and compare it to anything that's really done it. I mean, that's acting. You're not
Yeah.
even you've done it. Everybody does it, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's because I have to shoot a cable version of every movie I shoot for the most part.
Yeah.
So that's where the acting comes in. You're not actually having sex, but you're pretending you are, and you're being kind of credible at it. Good for you. And then you see that in like the mainstream equivalent of that. It's like you get movies like Showgirls where it's so ridiculously over the top and stupid.
yeah.
You're just like, what? So
Yeah.
so it would make sense to bring people in that are comfortable and are good at that in a role like that for sure.
Yeah. Her scene was very manic.
It was absurd.
It's absurd.
But that's just one example. There's a lot of scenes. I mean, look, some scenes in like
Some scenes, I mean, they're supposed to be like absurd
right.
sometimes.
But like some mainstream movies get it right. I mean, they're much more arousing than anything I've seen in an adult movie.
Yeah.
Black
I feel
Swan
like
comes to mind, for example.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Or a
that's
film
like,
that.
the difference between mainstream and. But even I think if you're going to make a good smut film, you still have to have some sort of. Well, I mean, it's always going to be erotic, but it needs to be more sensual
Yeah.
than just hardcore.
Well, that's why
It can lead to hardcore, but for me, what I've always found intriguing or what turns me on is the sensuality and that.
you don't get to do that in the business very much anymore, though. Because
No.
for every cool
It's
movie,
kind
for every cool movie like the one I was just talking about,
Yeah.
that Ricky shot, there's somebody getting stuck in a dryer. There's somebody making the Home Alone face, like it's cartoon porn.
Yeah.
And,
Well, that's why I never really shot for browsers.
well, that's the thing. Is like there's no.
So I don't care about the
you know.
money at that point. It's not my brand. It's not really my vibe.
But
I always loved working for Casey Calvert because Casey
well,
Calvert likes to.
Casey's brilliant.
Yeah.
And she gets it because she was a performer and she's got a very creative mind.
Yeah.
And she's obviously a very sexual person and she comes up with these,
Yeah. Well, anytime, I worked for her, she was like, take your time and
Right.
make it beautiful. Do what you would do if the camera wasn't here.
Right, but that's unfortunately very few and far. I wish more was like that. I would like to shoot stuff like that. I wouldn't feel quite so. I wouldn't.
Hit up
I would
Erica
still want to go
Lust.
home, but I wouldn't be in quite the hurry that I'm normally.
Yeah,
in,
Erica Lust, she's great to work for.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
actually what made me kind of want to like not work in California anymore.
Really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We also had like chefs on set in
Yeah.
Spain. I was like, wow.
Yeah, I don't. I have water on set. I don't know if that impresses anybody, but
Well,
I
I'm
usually
also,
stop.
but again, I'm never on set for more than like 2 hours on your.
True
stuff.
enough. Yeah. So what I do, I like to stop at 7-Eleven on the way, as I mentioned earlier, get my tuna
Get
sandwich
your
and
tuna
my Monster
sandwich.
Energy, and I'll grab some water. Every once in a while, maybe I'll get I don't know, some donuts. But that's pretty much the catering on my. Also, they don't give me money for food in the budget,
Yeah.
so
I'm like, it's more. Well, that's why I'm like, I think it's honestly, it's always the companies. I'm never thinking like, because I've worked for Ricky, and a lot of the stuff I worked for Ricky was through Dorsal, and I
Yeah.
know Dorsal has budget for more than just Lay's chips.
yeah,
But
they probably do.
Sometimes they're putting, but then again, you see those movies and they're very high production, so you're
Yeah.
like, oh, that's where all the money and this
Yeah.
budget's going.
Back in the day, I had a caterer. Like I had somebody that would come to set and cook, and I also had
Maybe I'll start doing that.
I had a wardrobe stylist on set, and every single shoot, we would get clothes specifically for that shoot for those girls, get their measurements ahead of time and everything else. And,
Oh, like Vixen.
This was, Well, see, that's the thing. Everybody thinks that, that Vixen
Vixen's
is
so,
breaking
like,
new
high
ground.
brand.
Look, and I'm not taking a knock at Vixen. They do what
No.
they do. They do amazing. But,
Yeah.
For
But
whatever
again-
reason, financially, they were able to do that. Great.
Yeah.
But we used to do that back before Pornhub started stealing all of our content and completely devalued everything that we did. So then you have to adjust, and the way you adjust is to not have a stylist and a caterer and all these things that are like, because you're competing with free now. So,
Yeah.
but God bless the ones that are still able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
Anyway.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Where can the fans find you on social media?
You can find me on X, Twitter, whatever.
Twitter, yeah.
At Mike Quasar, and I'm also the same on Instagram, although I don't go on Instagram that much. Sometimes I do. I don't know. I don't really understand Instagram. I'm old. But go to Twitter, and you can find me there. Or you can look for any of my motion pictures that I've crafted over the last little while by going
It's
to
groundbreaking.
the
motion
groundbreaking
picture.
cinema that I've been responsible for. Please go to any of the number of sweetcenter.com, sweetheartvideo.com, or anything related to Mile High is the parent company of all those sites that I shoot for. So that is all my pimping.
Have you ever joined the Mile High Club?
No, I barely joined the Sex in a Bed Club. What are you talking about, Mile High Club? When I said vanilla, I actually meant
Sexually
too.
Okay.
So yeah,
Aw,
yeah, no, never
you're
been in the Mile High.
romantic.
Sure, yeah. Let's say that. That sounds way better than just a loser that goes home to his dog every night. But it's fine. And my dog and I are not sexual, just for the record. I hope that wasn't implied by accident. She's an old girl and she's hanging in there. So
She's hanging in there.
like her dad. Anyway,
Yeah. No. Well, thank you for coming.
thank you for having me.
Yay.
Okay.
You guys know where to find me at Lumi Ray on everything. Or Google me. That's everything pops up. So
I'm not gonna lie.
yeah.
I may have Googled you once or twice in the past. I'm kidding, of course. I don't do that sort of thing.
I'm like you have.
No, I've seen it in person. I
Yeah, I'm
don't need to
like,
Google it.
and you're like you've edited many of videos
I have.
that I've been in.
I've been watching YouTube on my other monitor while I was doing it. Anyway, that's
Yeah. Yeah. Desensitized.
Yeah, it's no problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Wow.